Hey everybody, Todd here, and I swear we're going to get started in just 1 minute, but I wanted to take a moment to remind you, if you're enjoying the show, if you like what we do on the web, social media, you name it, take a look at our new page over at patreon.com/codewriteplay to find out how you might be able to get involved, what we can do for you, and just take a look around, see what we're doing there. So again, that's patreon.com/codewriteplay. Sit back and enjoy.
Good evening, fans. Tim Kitzrow here, the voice of NBA Jam. And you're listening to the Game Dev Breakdown Podcast, brought to you by CodeWritePlay.com. Whoa, boom shakalaka.
My mom gave birth in 1985. I was bluer than a Pac-Man ghost, barely alive. In the Cold War, my only blanket was Tetris. I played Rampart with Reagan, rampage the world for breakfast. The laundromat was my sanctuary, the arcade was my church. I thought I was Rastan, so for evil I was searched. The joystick was the only thing I enjoyed holding.
Okay, I'm ready to jump in. Joshua Davidson of Gearbox, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing just fine. I really appreciate you taking time. Are you working this weekend?
I am. I'm actually, just right before you called me, I'm working on implementing some sounds into Borderlands 3. Just trying to, we have a bunch of outsourced assets coming from our partners, Formosa. It's a outsourcing studio that specializes in video game audio. They're out there in Los Angeles, and they pretty much help out studios if they need extra help, and they got famous for God of War recently,
Right.
So no small group of people to be working with, but right now, we got so crunched on time, sort of with this particular project, at least on the creature work, that a lot of the creature sounds that we needed to do we pretty much needed to outsource a bit and get some extra help doing that. So right now I'm taking a lot of the assets and just putting them into the game, essentially. Just it's busy work. It's usually I'm the one creating all the assets and putting them in the game, but it's kind of it's just a different it's a different world. I'm just taking someone else's work and putting it in right now.
It's a lot to coordinate, I know. I've, even for a small to medium-sized group, I've been involved in kind of, one day you're developing and creating things, and the next day you're sort of playing, send back and forth and drop into place, and it's every bit as challenging as anything you were doing previously to catch up with it,
Yeah, I mean, it has an extra challenge because I'm not familiar with the sounds that these other people have made, I would be with my own content, so knowing exactly what needs to go where is part of the process, but it's not a big deal. I enjoy doing it, so not a big deal. It's cool. It's also easy, weekend busy work kind of stuff that I could just do at my house, which I'm at my house right now doing it. So
that is the best situation, I'm sure.
Yeah, it makes the tough times of quote unquote finishing a project and crunching, a lot more streamlined and easy if I can just wake up and just kind of do some things.
Yeah,
I'm having
for sure.
my morning coffee and then walking my dogs and stuff. So
yeah, I'm trying to remember how exactly we crossed paths, and it was only a couple of weeks ago. But I ran across you, and one of the first things I saw on your feed was a write-up you had done, actually a good number of years ago now, about how you had gotten into the professional game audio industry, and I thought it was great. I thought the write-up was great and the advice you gave people was great. I'm sure going to link to it in the show notes, but I thought it'd be cool to have you come on, talk us through a little bit of that, hit some of the highlights, and I've got some questions for you I think people will be curious to know about. So if that sounds good, that's what we'll do here today.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Yeah.
And I realized the thing I messed up by having you on is now I'll have a professional recording engineer listen to at least one episode of my podcast, and that's not going to be fun for either of us.
Well, I'm the one without a microphone. I'm just Skyping through my phone right now. I feel a little bit ashamed of my own self right now.
You sound pretty good. You'll be surprised when you hear it back. You sound really decent on this side.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm on my Pixel 3, so hopefully that's good.
I had a Pixel 2 for a while, so I actually do like that line of phones.
Yeah. I just got it mainly for the camera. It's a great camera.
Oh, man, the photos are just outstanding.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I wrote that blog post about how I got into the video game industry. I think it was back actually in 2012. I don't know if I don't think actually Borderlands 2 had come out yet when I wrote that blog post, but I wrote it just for fun, and I put it out on Tumblr, and there's a video game audio subreddit, and I put it on there, and I still get emails about that blog post all the time. Like, it was actually just, I was taken aback by how quickly and virally it sort of spread. Hundreds of emails have come through my inbox about it. All I did was really put it up on a subreddit, and kind of the rest is history and stuff. So yeah, it's cool that you also found it, all these years later yourself.
I did, and something that struck me about this, and I think probably something that connected with everybody else, was you said at one point, this is a lot of the advice I wish I had heard on the way in. And I thought, isn't that what we're always looking for? And like those of us who have turned to like create our own content, isn't that what we're trying to pass along? So I thought that's really the essence of just everything we're trying to do.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty transparent about, like, I'll talk individually with a lot of people and tell them, like, yeah, this is what you can expect, like, for salaries to company cultures to, things like that. I mean, I try to temper people's expectations as well, and let them know that, not every company is similar, but here's what you can expect if you get a job in a AAA video game and, company, and there's certain risks that come with it. Obviously, video game companies shut down a lot. I've been very blessed in my career to have had a very stable career. I've been at Gearbox for almost 10 years now. And luckily, it's just been a very stable company. I remember actually when I got the job at Gearbox, I was like, I think I'll be here for a few years, thinking like, I was pretty young then and like wanting just to kind of like move around and try out all the different places in the country and all the different video game companies. But I think it took a little bit of maturity on my end to realize, hey, you need to accept that, stability is a rare thing, in this industry. And to have that is really, at the end of the day, that's the golden ticket. Having a real stable job is something to count your blessings with, honestly.
That sounds exactly right. And it sounds like when you were in, say, high school, you didn't exactly picture yourself necessarily working in the game industry, but you did want to work in recording and stuff like that. Is that right?
Yeah, I actually went to a school called Full Sail in Orlando, Full Sail University, and then that was back in 2006. And I enrolled in the school, and I was very apprehensive, about enrolling into the school because, I mean, the school is, if you know anything about Full Sail, which some of your listeners might know, and maybe you yourself know, it's a marketing machine. It's plastered all over the internet as this school that you can go to and get this amazing creative job when you get out. And it covers a lot of different mediums. So there's film and there's recording arts, there's video game design at this school, there's media arts, there's broad encompassing like other degrees as well, just that like cover different, like animation. There's just a ton of stuff that the school teaches. It gets a lot of people from disparate fields and crafts all into one location, sort of just like the video game industry does. And people study there. And when I first started going there, I've been a gamer my whole life, and I've always had a deep passion for games, but I always just assumed, like I'm too stupid to work in games. Like I always thought, oh, you need to know code. You need to learn how to do code. Like I can't do math well. I'm really poor at that kind of stuff. My brain doesn't really do well in that world. So I just kind of like wrote off video games as a career because I didn't think that I would. I had those kind of chops. But 2 months into going to school for recording arts, this was in 2006 when recording studios were shutting down all over the place, and the idea of getting getting out of school and getting a job at a recording studio, working as an intern, and working your way up as an in-house or a assistant engineer, and then a full-time engineer working at a studio. It just wasn't happening anymore for people, like because of MP3 technology and the way that music distribution was sort of like changing the amount of profit that was affecting that industry. But it wasn't just that. The fact that music recording technology has become so ubiquitous and so inexpensive. Just look at, I'm sure you have right now, I see in your room here behind you. You have some acoustic panels up. You have a pop filter, a pretty decent condenser microphone. I can assume. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming you also probably have an interface that records into your computer and everything like that. And that's all pretty affordable these days. And you can do some nice stuff for $500 maybe, you know, like, or a under $1,000 budget. You can actually, like, people have built entire records just on that, you know? So I went to school right when this giant sea change was happening. And there was so much uncertainty about, like, how do you get a job doing audio now, you know, and make a good living off of it. And one teacher, second month of school, said something, you guys need to look into video game audio. And all these, like, at this time, Xbox 360 had just come out and PS3 was just around the corner. I think PS3 was just coming out as well. And one of my teachers said, like, video game studios are hiring people to work inside their video game company and do sound design for their games. And I was like, but you have to know how to do code. And, you know, one of my teachers was like, no, you don't. You just have to make cool sounds. And I was like, what? I'm like, I just have to make cool sounds. Well, I already like doing that all the time. I made a lot of electronic music all the time in my on the side, and electronic music was, I mean, it is sound design in a lot of ways. Like, what makes really cool electronic music to most people is how well, you know, obviously the music composition itself, but how artists create their own personal sounds and create a soundscape that's unique to their own vision. Like people will listen to an artist a lot because of, like, how they craft their synth patches and things like that. So it just kind of, like, clicked for me. Like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, well, the idea of working inside of a recording studio still seemed like the sexiest job of them all at that time.
Oh, yeah.
But the more I kind of went on with it, and the more I kind of, like, studied the video game industry, I just buckled down, and just every time I would change classes, I would ask the teacher, like, hey, do you know anything about video game audio? Like, how do you get in? Yeah. And a lot of them at that time were just kind of like, I don't know. I hear that there's a lot of opportunity happening there, but I don't really know much about it. So I just went online, and I just was like, I need to find people who do this. Yeah. You know, I need to find all the people who do this right now for a living, and I need to just blast emails out to them. And right at that time, MySpace was still a thing. And MySpace, as much as a joke as it seems like it is now because it failed and everything, it actually had a really cool tool for searching for people back then, like, based on what job they had. And in a similar,
I kind of remember that,
yeah, in a similar way that LinkedIn does now, you can do that. You could have done that on MySpace if you wanted to. And I found, you know, a number of people that I sent off emails to, and they just got back to me. They were like, yeah, sure, I'd love to answer your questions. And, like, I think these days people are like, you know, on LinkedIn, we you know, if you're in the industry, you're kind of used to being friended by a lot of people and stuff like that. So it gets a little, like, spammy. But I think back then I kind of, like, I just got so lucky being at the right place at the right time, because people were not used to students hitting them up about this kind of thing back then and, like, asking them questions. And so I would ask one guy named Brian Fieser, I would email him a bunch, and he was, like, one of the best people at getting back to my emails. He worked at Terminal Reality working on the Ghostbusters game.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day. And funny enough, he actually works at Gearbox now. I helped him get hired at Gearbox. Like, I recommended him to get hired, and, like, now we're, like, totally cool buddies working together. Yeah. Just a small world thing. But yeah, it was all about just, like, emailing people, and then, like, they would all get back to me. Everyone was super nice, and I was like, man, this seems like the kind of industry I want to get into and stuff. So yeah, from that point, there's this thing called the Video Game, or it's still around. It's called Game Audio Network Guild, GANG for short. And it's there every year. There's GANG awards. Like, it's sort of like the inner audio community inside of games that, like, you know, kind of like give each other recognition. So there's, like, GANG awards for best soundtrack. There's GANG awards for best overall audio presentation, and best voiceover and things like that. So I joined the Gang Audio Network Guild for like, my dad gave it to me as a Christmas present back then. It was like a $50 entry fee. And I only really made one forum post on there because it was like, a lot of it was a bunch of newbies trying to figure out how to get into the industry, just like myself back then. And like, I made one forum post saying, hey, I'm a Full Sail student. I really want to figure out how to get into the video game industry, and any help, any advice, I just really need it. And one guy got back to me named Mark Kilborn. And at that time he was actually, I think he was working freelance. He was working on this game called The Club. I don't know if it was like, it's sort of an obscure title now.
Oh, the shooter?
Yeah, it was like a third-person shooter.
Yeah, I played that.
It's kind of an obscure title now, but I think it was pretty cool back then.
Yeah.
But he was working on The Club, and so like he got back to my forum post and was like, "Hey, I was a Full Sail student too, and I'm working in video game audio now full time. I would love to feel free to chat with me on AOL Instant Messenger if you can remember that program."
Oh yeah, shout out.
So, yeah, rest in peace. But yeah, like I friended him on Instant Messenger, and like we kind of hit it off and like talked very regularly all the time. And while I was still in school, Mark actually went to work. He's from Dallas, Texas too, and he actually went to work for Gearbox here in Dallas and in-house. So as a student, I was kind of like, oh man, I would just love to work at Gearbox. It seems like a really cool company. The more I learned about it and stuff, and Borderlands wasn't even a thing back then. It was still Brothers in Arms and primarily just a Brothers in Arms studio at that point. And
they did ports and stuff, right?
Yeah, I actually dreamed my ass off, just constantly going to bed at night thinking about working at Gearbox. Like, because he told me, like, if I ever have an internship available here, I would love to. Like, you're the guy that I would recommend. And as a student hearing that, you're just like,
yeah,
it's total music to your ears. Like that's like your breakthrough. That's the thing that you're wanting to, get into the industry and everything. But I actually didn't work at Gearbox at first when I got out of school. I had been blasting my resume off to like really tiny companies that like did small indie games on the side. Like none of them would ever get back to me. I just didn't know how to like get noticed by anyone. And one day I came back from class. I was feeling really frustrated about this recording arts test that I took. I felt like some of the answers threw some curveballs or questions threw curveballs at me and stuff. So I was like pretty frustrated. But I came home that day, and Mark Kilborn sent me an instant message, and he was like, "Hey man, look at this company. They're hiring. They're in Illinois. They're called Volition." And I looked at the posting, and this is a big AAA developer, and I'm like, "There's no way that these little guys over here are not even. They barely notice me. How is this AAA developer that they had put out Saints Row the year before and everything." Like, how are they? They also did Red Faction, if you're not familiar with them. But yeah, like I was just like, man, there's no way that they'll pay attention to me. He's like, hey, here's the one, and it was the best piece of advice that I've ever gotten. He was like, just send in your resume, send them your portfolio website, and then just look at the company website, find out who the sound designers are. And what their email address is going to be the first initial and last name, or vice versa. It's going to be their first name and last initial at thatcompany.com. VolitionInc.com was the website. And I was like, all right. So I found the audio director, and I just personally emailed him, just guessing his email address.
I love that. Yeah.
And then I just said, hey, I applied for this, and I'm graduating in a month, and I see you have this job position open. I'm totally down. I would love to work for your team. Like, it would be a dream come true. And he got back to me in like 5 minutes and was like, I love your website. I like your stuff. Hey, can you make us like a personal demo over the weekend? That'd be freaking great. And I was like, what? Like,
okay.
I can't believe this. Yeah, no, I was like a AAA developer asking me to do something. I'm like, how high do you want me to jump? So I just spent the whole weekend making a demo. And at this time, I was like, I barely knew anything about video game sound design. It was like a totally fake it till you make it situation. So I went to GameTrailers.com, took some gameplay footage of BioShock and just stripped all of the audio out of it and just replaced like 30, 45 seconds of that footage with my own footage, with my own sounds, just did it on my own. And like, I sent it in. After that whole weekend of working on that thing, on Monday morning, I sent it to him, like just ready to go. And they were like, the audio director got back to me. Was like, "Hey, I like this demo. Hey, we should do a phone interview." And I was like, "What the hell?" Like, I couldn't believe it.
Now, if I can jump in for a minute, I know I read about this part you described, the demo, and I didn't really know that would be a process that like someone in your position would do, because I don't know the entire scope of what you would do in a studio setting like that, because I'm mostly independent. But you went to find these trailers, you completely muted, just ripped all the audio out, and then layer by layer recreated your own version of sound for the gameplay footage. And I mean, that like music and everything, or
I started to put my own music in it, but Mark Kilborn, and this is a great advice for anyone, it's don't do that. You're applying for a sound design job. You're not. Dan Wentz, the then audio director at Volition, told me that composition is a plus. And I actually ended up going on to making some music for their games, but my primary role was just sound designer. Mm-hmm. So when you're trying to, like, a thing that can bite you in the ass if you're applying for a sound design job is if you start giving a lot of music to developers, and developers will think that you're a composer trying to sneak in as a sound designer, and like they won't trust you.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, it's sort of, it's like they're totally two different things and are two different responsibilities. That was something that I just didn't have a very firm grasp on when I was applying for the job back then.
Right. But yeah, for a weekend, that's a daunting task anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I was having a lot of fun, but I was scared, I was super scared. I'm like, man, this was a big deal to me. And I would have, like, I said to people all the time back then, I was like, man, I really want this. I'd rather get this than win $1 billion in the lottery. Like, this is so much cooler than just, like doing that, like, or just, getting a big chunk of money. But,
and you said one of the games you did was Saints Row, which they were working on, which I thought was a brilliant move.
Yeah, I did another demo of Saints Row footage. I mean, I just wanted to keep it relevant to what they already do, and I had a feeling that they were kind of probably working in another Saints Row. I think they actually had already announced that they were working on another Saints Row at that point, so it seemed like, a no-brainer to just kind of do that. So, I mean, my demo, like looking back on it today, it's pretty shitty demo, but I'm just happy that they liked it.
Sure, yeah. They're like, we can work with this,
Yeah, exactly. I think they kind of, they realized that the fundamental principles of sound design and everything and like game audio stuff, it was there in my demo. So they were looking for someone that they could like groom to groom into a full-time role and like, take them up from a junior to a mid-tier to a senior, and things like that. So yeah, I submitted those two demos and, I had a phone interview and it was like, the most nervous you've ever been, talking, like calling your crush in high school or something.
Yeah.
You just know that them picking up the phone at the other end. I remember my voice cracking and I was just my voice was like trembling but they were all super nice. And like, I kind of calmed down like midway through the interview and, everything went really smoothly in that phone interview. And then we hung up and I said goodbye. And then I didn't hear anything for a really long time. Like, I think a week or two went by and I heard nothing. And I just thought it was over. I was like, this is not going to happen. And I was just constantly like trying to get it out of my head and I just kept thinking like, hey, this shows you that this could happen. Like you got pretty close, bro, but it may not be happening this time, but this is cool. It's good to have the opportunity to at least talk to people inside and have them kind of like give you a nod that you deserve a chance. But it ended up happening. I mean, I got an email, it was like 2 or 3 weeks before I was going to graduate. And it was from their HR and it was like, hey, when can we fly you out? Like this most simple email that just like blew my mind, just like a simple 2-sentence email. Hey, when we fly you out? I'm like, fly me out. There you go. Y'all would do that. Like all the, like, I I thought it would be so cool to get a job in a recording studio, but a recording studio is not going to fly you out like and
It's true.
you know, stuff like that, you know. So it was cool. It was just a cool experience, you know. And like pretty much right after the interview, three or 4 days later, the on-site interview anyway. Like they did extend me an offer, and I went up to work with them and I ended up working with them for 2 years. So, and it was great.
What was the transition like from Orlando to Northern Illinois? Because I grew up in Illinois, so I ask as a former resident.
Oh, okay. It was. I embraced it with open arms, but I'm originally from the South. I'm originally from Georgia.
Oh, okay.
I'm not used to that weather at all. It kind of shook me to my core. All that snow.
That checks out.
Yeah, yeah. It totally was spending, you know, like my entire time in the South, I barely saw snow, and like all of a sudden I was seeing a ton of it, and
Yeah.
I did not have the attire for it, and like I don't know, it was kind of a culture shock for me because like everybody there was used to it and just expected it.
Yeah.
They just, you know, they just had that sort of like winter weather approach to things nobody in the South does.
That winter mindset. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. You just kind of like endure it in a certain way that I just was, and I'm still impressed by.
That's about the answer I expected. So your ad Volition, it's a relatively small group. I mean, for being as big a studio as they are.
I think they were around that time. They were about 200 people, and
oh, okay, that's bigger than I thought.
It's 200 people, and they were working on 2 games at once. So they were doing Red Faction Guerrilla, and they were doing Saints Row 2. I mean, it was a pretty robust operation for 200 people. Like it's kind of crazy to think of 200 people working on 2 projects nowadays.
It's true, yeah.
Because Gearbox right now working on Borderlands 3, there's 450 people.
Ooh, yeah.
There's like I think around 300 people just at Gearbox here in Frisco, Texas, outside of Dallas. And Gearbox actually opened another studio in Quebec.
Oh, wow.
And it's kind of funny because like I kind of raised my eyebrows whenever Gearbox opened that Quebec studio. I'm like, why are we doing this? Yeah. And now that Quebec, we've had Quebec for a few years now, or 2 or 3 years. The Quebec studio just grabbed a ton of senior talent in that area.
It's a huge area for game development for sure.
It is, and it pretty much they pretty much only got senior level talent. So like in meetings for Borderlands 3, like we have these internal meetings where, you know, every department kind of shows off what they're working on, and Quebec was always just making us look bad. They were always like, I'm just jesting when I say that, but like they really were. I mean, they really had the entire development of this game. Like they've just been crushing it, showing off like all the cool stuff that they've been working on. I probably can't really say what they did work on quite yet, but
they brought their A game.
Yeah, it almost feels like they've just done so much amazing work almost effortlessly. They just like week or month after month, they would just post up their videos of stuff they've been working on, and every time it was just like, man, we don't deserve you guys. You guys are amazing.
It's nice when things pay off. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just read, you know, like this article about, you know, the BioWare fiasco with Anthem and everything. And one of the things that kind of struck me in the article, and it seems like it's true. It sucks that if it is true, but the developers, a lot of studios have multiple locations now. And it seems like there was an attitude at BioWare proper in Edmonton, sort of like we're the real BioWare, and then like there was the other one in there's one in Austin, like wasn't the real BioWare or something like. So there was a little bit of a tug of war struggle between the 2 studios, and it actually ends up hurting the project when there's not that level of cohesion. But I feel like, man, it's like I feel pretty blessed that we don't have that problem with our Quebec partners right now. Like, they're all super talented, and we have nothing but respect for them. And
you were there first, so. But no, it is good you got that positive energy, because I agree. You read about this stuff It seems like it's happened a lot of times in the recent past. Studios branch out these satellite locations, and there's just chaos afterwards. So it's nice when they've got that synergy going.
Yeah, from my point of view, like the Ubisoft studios have seemed to have developed a nice level of cohesion with themselves too, because I feel like they've had all the Ubisoft games that have come out in the past year have had a really high level of quality and just cohesion to them. And I know that there's a bunch of Ubisoft studios now, but I know that they all they'll borrow staff from each other, and and everything. Coordinating that is definitely a difficult task, no doubt. But it seems like those games, the quality part of their games has gone up a lot over the past few years, and it seems like they've definitely ironed out some of that cohesion problems that can happen whenever studios first start springing up and start borrowing talent from each other and things. Yeah.
So you were at Volition for what? Was it like 2 years? I'm just trying to think of the timeline.
Yeah, so this was between July 2007 and then to July 2009. When I was at Volition, I had a friend, Rayson Varner. We became really good friends, and he went down to Gearbox. And he went down to Gearbox about a year before I went down there. But after he was there for a year, he an opening for someone of my experience level basically opened up there, and he invited me down. And he's like, "Man, do you want to work at Gearbox, dude? Like, come on down here." And at that time, I actually was like very skeptical of leaving Volition to go to Gearbox. I felt like Gearbox was a side grade, kind of. I thought it wouldn't be like a big level up in position, but when I came down, whenever I flew down to Gearbox for my interview, I mean, he was basically like, "Just come down here and hang out, man. Come out down here and hang out. Just don't worry about it. Let's just have a fun weekend. Interview at the studio." And at that time, it was just him and one other audio guy, and so the other audio guy, he's our audio director now. His name is Mark Petty, and I just hung out with them for a couple days. And the defining moment that I kind of tell a lot of people about for me was I think it was May 2009, and when I walked into my friend Rayson's audio room, he's like, "I want you to check out the latest build of Borderlands," and so he hands me the controller, and at that time the whole intro sequence of the game was done, and there was this really iconic intro to the game that had a song by Cage the Elephant.
Oh yeah, No Rest for the Wicked. Yeah,
Rest for the Wicked, and the whole sequence just like delighted me.
Yeah. Me too, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it had this charm to it. The art style was so poppin', and then as soon as I started playing the game, I wasn't really familiar with a lot of the loot tropes that can be in video games at that point. Like I hadn't really played Diablo at that point, but when I started playing it and started seeing like the amount of weapon variety and like how that progression works and things, I was like, "Whoa, no one's doing this."
Yeah.
Like I was like, no company's doing this right now, and this is really fascinating, and it blew my mind. And so in my head, I was like, "Man, this could be something, like this could be a really cool thing, or it's going to flop."
Yeah.
And then Gearbox is going to shut down, and I'm going to wish I was still at Volition, and that's going to suck. But I mean, I ended up just taking the job and moving down, and the rest is history essentially. Like Borderlands blew up like big time in a way that I don't think any of us foresaw. Like in the first 2 years, it sold about 6 million copies, which is good. But I mean, once Borderlands 2 came out, it sold 6 million copies immediately. Now Borderlands 2 has sold over 30 million copies. So I couldn't even imagine. I can't imagine back then it doing that well. Like we used to have this joke when we were working on Borderlands 2, like, "Oh yeah, it's going to sell 8 million. And that just seemed like the craziest idea. Like,
yeah.
Like, you're crazy. That's a silly idea. And then I found out recently that we reached over 30 million or something. And I'm just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
that was not, I was not expecting that. I expected a lot lower number.
Yeah. So it was a little bit more of a laid back interview process. And I'm sure they, prodded for some technical know-how as well during that process. But it sounded like once you were in the industry, it was a little bit of a, and you knew somebody and it was helpful and it was a little more of a simple transition at that point.
Yeah, it was like really laid back. I feel like my friend Rayson and I mean, we share each other's work all the time. And so he knows exactly what I can do and everything. So that wasn't really concerned for him. And he was half the audio team at that point. So it was a pretty laid back interview. And yeah, this sounds kind of conceited, but I mean, the job was pretty much mine. Like if I wanted it. And
fair enough.
But I didn't back then I was just like, I don't know if I want it, because I just didn't really feel like it was going to be that dramatic of a difference, working at Gearbox, but it is a big difference.
Yeah.
I feel like the Gearbox, the culture at Gearbox is really amazing. It's a very, very creative family. It feels like a big family for sure, in a way that it's an independent studio, so it's not owned by a publisher. A lot of people think that it is, but it's still a private company, so it still has that independent spirit and vibe to it, which really, really translates better overall, I feel like, into the creative process of what we're making. We don't really have this sort of like publisher that's just trying to control everything.
Yeah.
It's more like it feels like we're making the fun, and then the publisher figures out how to like pay for it and like market it and everything.
Yeah. And that's something I'm picking up on Twitter. I mean, I know you guys haven't been able to talk really much at all about it until it was announced, but I can think of one or two other Gearbox people on my Twitter feed, and they all do seem to share that feeling like this is our thing and here's what we're doing, and and like everyone's very optimistic. And it's refreshing to see, because a lot of companies, big and small, don't really get to feel that way. It's nice to see.
Yeah, I actually was reading about Todd McFarlane the other day, and how he started creating the comic Spawn.
Oh yeah.
And he was working he had a high profile job at Marvel before that. And even with an awesome job working at Marvel on your dream comics that you probably wanted to work on since you were a kid, like he had this feeling of he was working for someone else still.
Yeah.
And I don't really feel that way at Gearbox, because I feel like I don't have to get approval on creative, the thing about Borderlands is the universe of Borderlands is really whatever we want it to be. And it can be fourth wall breaking. It can be as silly as we want it to be. Whatever you create, whatever sort of sound I create, just becomes the lore of that universe, period. It's not working on another, a film IP or something like that, where you have to adhere to, if it's like if you're working on a Star Wars game, a lightsaber needs to sound like a lightsaber, or it's something that somebody else made. Even though working on a Star Wars game would probably be pretty kick ass.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Dream come true. There's something about like working on Borderlands is like, it feels like it's ours. Everyone shares it, and
it's so full of personality, like just from the very beginning. And I feel like that's only matured since throughout the releases since Borderlands 1. And I feel like there are some, it seems like there are some very good publishers out there, but even with the best of them, I don't think you would really have that much personality shine through if you've got people at a conference room table going, this seems risky, or that seems, let's go this more, conventional route with this. Yeah,
totally. Yeah. Volition, it in some ways had a similar sort of like path with Saints Row, because Saints Row 1 was basically the big selling point for Saints Row 1 was, we're going to be the first GTA game out on the new Xbox 360. We're going to beat GTA out the door before a new GTA game comes out. So you can get a next gen GTA game, and that was the promise of it. It was basically a San Andreas clone. But then Saints Row 2 came out, and it came out right around GTA 4. And when GTA 4 came out, I was like, man, I think we're just going to be crushed by this. But when Saints Row 2 came out, it was like, oh, well, GTA 4 went real gritty. and like really dark and
Yeah.
and it very serious. And Saints Row 2 was over here, you had guys with poop guns, shooting at each other, and
Comically, yeah.
yeah, so it kind of went in that direction. But I also think that Saints Row just kind of like ran itself into the ground a little bit. As much as I love the franchise and it's dear to me, like they just kept putting them out, and just it's like every time they would put out a new one, I'm like, well, where do you go from here?
Look at what we've already done. Yeah. What could we possibly put in this?
Yeah, dildo bats in the third one. Like 2 more of these.
Now we're in space doing what? Like, yeah.
And they were putting them out like pretty not too long after each other. I mean, like within a year or two, there was like another Saints Row. People still love that franchise, but
yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that as far as like Saints Row goes, I think the company kind of like felt like they had to kind of keep doing the safe thing a little bit. Like, oh, this is working. This is something that's working. Let's just stay here. Yeah. And I mean, we could do the same thing. Obviously we have Borderlands 3 coming out, but we did do Battleborn, and as much as that game flopped really badly and it sucked that game flopped, I'm so glad that we took a risk to do something new.
Yeah.
Even if it didn't work out. I mean, I'm just glad that we have the financial backing from the Borderlands games to be able to stay afloat and everything. And obviously it's the smart thing to do now after something like Battleborn flopping would be to, do another Borderlands game, and all of us want to do another Borderlands game, but I feel like what we did was we had a really good success with Borderlands 1 and 2. And it was just like the smart thing to do is when you have that success is to try something new. And I'm glad that, our company did try something new, even if it just didn't work out, in our favor.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like it's good to have that momentum and see where else it might take off. I totally get that for sure.
Yeah, totally.
I'm wondering if you can tell me a little bit about, first of all, so as you transitioned from school, you were very fortunate and got to go straight to work in the game industry, more or less, it sounds like. Did you feel pretty well prepared once you got out of school for that? Like once you got there and went like, no, I was ready for this, or like, holy shit, no way.
Yeah, I feel like I was. I was also taken under the wing by a group of very patient people who were just knew that schools don't train for game audio, like there was no such thing. Right. And everybody in the video game industry at that time totally understands that. So the first things that I did was they were like, all right, we need you to make sounds for visual effects. So like things that, whatever visual effect happens in the world, if it's a water spout or, a billboard exploding or a bush exploding, like there's like a lot of like things like that happen. So like I just went through like my first day on the job, first few days was just finding all the visual effects, little movie renders of them and putting them into my DAW and then just making sounds for them and then exporting those and then putting the sounds into the game. So it was like kind of small baby step stuff. Like, and then my supervisors at that time, Frank Patricus, he would just come by. I would be like, hey, this is what I worked on. Just tell me if it's good to put in the game, and he would just, give it a thumbs up, thumbs down. So it was like they had a lot of like direct supervision over what I was doing at that time. It didn't feel like the most creative work right off the bat. Like it was a lot of, we need sound for this. There needs to be a sound here. So put a sound in, kind of thing. It wasn't like heavy, highly creative sound design. It was a start, and it helped me grasp the fundamentals of like, the basic fundamentals of sound design for video games and like how it all worked, how you implement the sound of the game, and like what the best practices are for, managing your audio assets, all the very basic things.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Pretty
prepared, overall for that.
I would call that encouraging because you were in school at a time when maybe school wasn't as prepared for it as they are now. And so for people on their way in, it's probably a good sign.
Yeah, and now Full Sail teaches a lot of video game audio stuff these days. So it didn't take too long for for, the school to kind of like update their curriculum to reflect all the various like interactive audio jobs that are out there now.
And I went to a somewhat similar school. I went to ITT Tech, and instead of adapting with the times, they were shut down by the feds. So, which you may or may not have heard about.
Was that because? That
was, I think it was somewhat political, because like they had people getting student loans, but then they like weren't being placed after school, and they like weren't prepared enough or something. Like, I always felt like you got out of it what you put in. I went and I had my nose to the grindstone. I was very motivated to get working after that, and I did okay. My friends did okay, but if it's true that most people didn't do okay, then I've got no issue with that, I guess,
Yeah, Full Sail actually has a little bit of they have to prove themselves to the government all the time, I think, for simple reasons. I actually I've served on their audio board or sometime, like one time, and they invite industry professionals to come check out the school, like kind of how they're doing with their curriculum nowadays, and give feedback. And it is something that non-traditional schools, I think in general, just have to kind of like prove that they're not just this sort of like degree farm that spits out, degrees and with no result, essentially, I think is what it is. They have to prove that they have to prove that this is a real place, educational institution that can spit out, people who do well in the industry. And then you're absolutely right, because I think it is exactly what you put into it. And when I was trying to decide whether I wanted to go to Full Sail, I almost didn't. I'm glad I did, but I almost didn't, because there was a lot of smack talk about the school online from students who didn't get jobs. There was a website that was notorious. I don't know if it's still around, but it was like basically just called fullsailsucks.com. And it was a place where people went and bitched and, gave their testimonies. Full Sail used to have this thing, they called it the career placement department.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they had to change the name of it because of websites like fullsailsucks.com to career development department. Because
interesting.
The name career placement is like inherently misleading. Like, you'll go through this and you just get placed in a job afterwards.
You'll have your career issued to you once you cross there. Yeah. It'd be nice, but
I think no, here you go. All you had to do was sign up. Now you're going to be a famous recording engineer.
Yeah, off you go. Yeah.
And I can see why they probably in the 90s, I think Full Sail could much more easily get away with the name career placement, because in the 90s, the amount of people going to that school was a lot smaller, and there were actually a lot more jobs for recording studios back then. I've talked to a lot of Full Sail grads from the 90s that did end up working in the music industry and things. Eventually, like, that's the thing, is Full Sail has this marketing machine that attracts so many people to it. And when I was in school, there were 2,000 recording arts graduates a year from just that degree program. Just a year, every year. So every year, there's 2,000 of these people with degrees running around looking for jobs in an industry that was shrinking,
Yeah.
So I can see why Full Sail offers a very, very amazing education. But yeah, at the same time, it's one of those things you have to be willing to pivot and be flexible if you want to do something with that degree.
And even the choice for you to go there from your home to pick up and move and go there, it seems like a lot of your career has been made successful by your willingness to get up and go relocate. Like, if this is where the action is, that's where you're going to go. And I tell people all the time, based on my limited experience of my own, if you want to do it, be ready to pick up and go. And you just got to do it and go where the action is.
Yeah, exactly. To me, as a young student in my early 20s back then, that was a no-brainer. I wanted to go.
Yeah, it's time. Yeah.
I don't understand why anybody wouldn't want to just leave and check out somewhere new. I think it's fun to uproot your life, and you can kind of, every time I've done it, like, it's a cool way to meet new people, reinvent yourself in some ways. You grow throughout the process. It's challenging, and it can fluster your emotions a lot, but
I'm sure that's right.
But it's, at the same time, it's like the most reward. It's so super rewarding. Like, I kind of got addicted to it early on, for sure.
And what's it been like to be a pro industry person like almost 10 years ago compared to what it's like now? I mean, social media is a lot different, and the things we know about the game industry are a lot different. I mean, is it still rewarding, or I'm sure it's challenging at some point? You guys are in the news every single freaking day right now. and it's like everybody's so excited about Borderlands because I realize this sort of indicates my age now, but a lot of people so excited about Borderlands 3 were like teenagers or even kids when the first one came out. It's like
I feel the same way. I'm like, dang.
There's extra buzz about it for that reason, but like people are, there's also some negativity, and it's really got nothing to do with what Borderlands 3 is going to be like. It's just people wanting to play it here or there, or political things.
Yeah, I mean, the greatest feeling in the world was when we announced, a few weeks ago. It felt like all the comments I saw online were like 95% positive. Mm-hmm. There's always going to be, internet comments being internet comments, and there's toxicity. But if you see 95% good, that's pretty universally good, Yeah. But yeah, whenever we announced the Epic deal, it definitely sucks to see, like, because that has nothing to do with what I do.
Right.
I'm a content creator. I'm just on the end of this. I'm on the end of the thing trying to make the game cool as hell. Like, I just want to make it cool as hell. Like, it's not my, job to figure out what platform it goes on or anything. But as far as like what it's like 10 years ago versus now, it's just it's interesting to see where the industry's gone in the past 10 years. Because I'm coming up on 10 years at Gearbox, but I've also it's kind of weird. I've been on Twitter for 10 years now.
Oh man.
And it's kind of, Twitter this is a piece of advice I give to people, but I find Twitter more valuable than LinkedIn as far as meeting people.
I do too.
Obviously you and I are talking now because of Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
But I find it to be just a lot more personable of a platform to meet people. I've met a ton of people in the industry. There's a whole game audio community on there. I follow a ton of sound designers, and I tell students all the time, I'm like, yeah, LinkedIn is important. You should have a LinkedIn account, and it can help you for sure. But seriously, if you get on Twitter and you just act like a cool human being, a nice human being, and it is sort of like what I would recommend to people over, like, just like MySpace was really helpful to me back in the day. I think Twitter can be a very similarly empowering tool, like for up and comers and stuff. Since the early days of my career, I've stayed on Twitter, and I've had my ups and downs with it. For sure.
Yeah, sure.
Like I feel like overall it's a net positive, just to meet other people in the industry and like see what other people are doing. What's really cool about the industry is like, there's so much talent out there, what I love about video games is like, it's not just, there's never like one person that's like making it happen. It's a collective group of like different people. It's not like sometimes you'll go see a movie just because an actor's in it. You don't really have that same sort of thing going on for video games. You don't go, mm-hmm. You wouldn't go see Ace Ventura if anyone else other than Jim Carrey was playing,
It's true.
Ace Ventura, but
I guess Sid Meier has a little bit of that, but other than that,
yeah. But Sid Meier, it's funny that you bring that up because I was thinking about that in the back of my head. Sid Meier doesn't even work on those games anymore, like, apparently. But Sid Meier also got that idea. Apparently, Steven Spielberg told him to do that. Put your name on the box.
I heard a different version of that story. I heard it was he and his manager Bill Seeley were talking to Robin Williams. Now we're in like urban legend territory now. So now I'd love to love to research that a little bit. But I heard the same kind of story. They were like, you got like basketball stars. Why don't you guys have video game stars? And I thought, that's cool. It sure didn't take off, but that was a cool idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of hard to. I mean, like there's obviously people like I see. I can't help it, but I see Cory Barlog as the kind of face of the God of War games right now. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like. It's such it really depends on, it just depends on so many different things getting right for a good game to come out. And it really requires hundreds of people doing the best that they can at what they do, at their own small little piece of what they of the game. You know, whether you're a texture artist or an animator, like everyone trying to kill their own individual responsibilities is what makes it work. Like, you know, and what makes a great game, you know. And then God of War is a great example of that. Like everything went right. Like narrative, animation, art, audio for sure. And, you know, the leadership of that game, you know, and everything, like everything just, I'm sure, not to say that they didn't have their struggles, but that's like just one of those games where it's like, man, everyone on that team crushed it. you know, collectively.
So as we're sort of winding down here, because man, an hour just flew right by, but as you're starting to, your responsibilities at Gearbox seem to be expanding a little bit as things progress. What would you say the future holds? Do you like the idea of doing more of a, you know, transitioning into maybe kind of leadership or management of some kind, or do you want to stay in the trenches and work with the technical stuff?
Yeah. So right now I'm a senior sound designer, and I kind of prefer to, I've played the lead role a bit in the past. And I could definitely see myself being a lead sound designer, which is a senior sound designer with just more sort of authority or owner, like, you know, kind of over things. One of my best friends, Brian Fieser, is the lead audio guy in our department, and he has a really good like head on his shoulders for things. I definitely just prefer doing the most artistic stuff possible. And also like being challenged creatively and technically. And one of the things like that's really, really, we haven't really talked about this yet, but I'm going to kind of give a little hint. But like on Borderlands 2, we shipped with 300 gun assets, like over 300 individual wave files of gunshots to cover all the manufacturers, all the different gun manufacturers and their variations, basically. Right. So whenever you picked up a Bandit shotgun or you picked up a Hyperion submachine gun in the game, in all the previous Borderlands games, they all sounded like, you know, the same gun, essentially, like no matter what rarity they were and things like that. So the Hyperion SMG would always sound like the Hyperion SMG. Jacob shotgun sounds like a Jacob shotgun.
Yeah.
And so that was like 300 something assets. Right now we're like sitting at 7,500 individual gun sounds.
Wow.
For this new one. And
I like that.
What changed is, well, yeah, we have more memory.
Sure. Yeah.
But what changed is the design of the audio for this. And I have to give big props to Brian Fieser and our code team, our audio code team, for developing a system where we could basically play audio Legos with all the gun parts. So whenever you get a certain gun part, we have it every time you get a new gun, it takes, you know, 6 or 7 different parts and then slaps them together. And each one of those parts has a gun sound on it. So it just clamps together to form one new sound. It's a totally modular experience.
It's really cool.
That's sort of where we're going, like in the future. Like this is, I don't really know if a game has done something like this before, but it has been a complete pain in the ass to sound design for it.
I'm sure, yeah.
Because you can't possibly you can't really hear every single variation that's out there because there's millions, you know.
Yeah.
So there's ways you can hear most of them, obviously, and most will tell you, you know, 99% of what you need to know. But I think that's sort of like always doing new things and innovative things that haven't really been done before. I think that's what's really exciting about games is like now we like every time there's a new increase in technology, and whether it's CPU power or graphic power, you know, and memory in this case, like now it's like, okay, what could we do if we just had more of this? Like how could we take advantage of it? In games more than any other medium right now, it's like you can see giant strides in innovation just because you actually did get more juice, more power out of your systems and things like that to utilize. I feel like as much as I love movies and music and things, the creative innovation in those mediums has more or less sort of plateaued, a little bit.
Mhm.
There's still going to be great films every year, and I love them, but you don't really see like these groundbreaking new things like, the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. You don't really see that happen as much. It still does happen, but it's not like every 4 or 5 years. I feel like in games, there's those new moments of like, oh wow, woof.
Yeah.
That's something that's never been done before. Wow. That created a whole new genre, that raises the bar considerably.
Yeah, that's true. For that reason, it seems like a fascinating area to work. I mean, you'll be right at the bleeding edge of all that.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I have to do plugs a little bit differently today because normally I'd have an indie developer on and go, the name of the game is whatever. We're all going to be watching for Borderlands 3. Needless to say, we're all very excited. Where can people find more on Joshua Davidson?
I'm on Twitter. If you ever want to say hey, my Twitter ID is just at Joshua DAV, all one word, JOSHUA DAV. That's it. So I'm always down to chit chat and stuff, and I have a lot of fun interacting with people who are interested in video game audio, and just if they want to shoot the shit about Borderlands or anything, I don't care. Very cool. Well, congrats on all this. You're clearly doing well, and we'll be excited to see what's next for you. Thanks a lot, man. All right, thank you. As always, if you enjoy the Game Dev Breakdown podcast, you can follow along by subscribing anywhere podcasts are found. Please consider dropping us a rating and a review, or tell a friend who's into this kind of thing. And if you want to go even further, check out how you can get involved with our new community over at patreon.com/CodeWritePlay. We'll be back very soon with more very cool stuff, and we can't wait to show you. So keep working hard, keep playing, and we will talk to you soon.
Mario and Ken were throwing the sign peace. America was playing real life Jackson in the Middle East. But no matter how much my neighbors said the world would end, I was determined to play Missile Command till the end. I wasn't a normal child who played with yak backs and crayons, cause I liked how that trackball felt like the world in my hands. Each star was a space invader, the sky was Galaga. Every day was a boss fight, the soundtrack was Metallica. This was back when the only snakes in my life were on Cubert, and video game pixels were the only